All right, welcome to the ESBC podcast, where the purpose that every podcast is a business meeting, and every single business meeting has to have a purpose and an outcome. The purpose is very simple: to make money, right? Also, the purpose is to share information because when you give one, you get 10 back. When you share information, there are people that get it and give you information back because they understand that life is not a one-way street, right? That in life, there's a give and take, right? There's a give and take uh, between people for the benefit of both people involved, right? So that's the purpose: to share information and to make money. So what has been the outcome, right? The outcome has been that through this year, on the podcast, we are 78 and 64, 54.5%, 54.9%, and that equals about $10,000 in profit that I didn't have before. Now, that's not as good as we've done in the past. The last 5 years, we've averaged around 60%, and our top year, we were 64%. Elite is 70%, but you can live in Vegas with 59% where you're considered sharp. So we want to get up to that point this year. Those are the verified outcomes, like a prospectus. Like when you buy a stock, you have to have a prospectus. So who am I, and why in the hell should you listen to anything I have to say? I'm an MBA. I have a securities licenses and clients net worth 50 million and above. It seems like a lot, but it's not. 50 billion and above for decades. All right. And they come back because they get good information, and I'm really good at researching things. Right. So that's what the value we have there. Now, what I've learned in life is that if you're the smartest, toughest person in any particular room, you are in the wrong room. So I'm lucky to find someone who is smarter, tougher than I am, right? He wrote a great book that gives a lot of life lessons, Hunter Thompson style, right? And he talks about intestinal fortitude. He talks about mental strength, right? How to get things done through the force of your will. How about that for alliteration?
Good.
William Will. So thank you, Mr. Will, for joining us. Uh, Last week, you were 6-1 on the podcast. Only the crazy ass Raiders that tripped you up. Everything was perfect on there. On the podcast, you're around 16-2, which is elite, making the audience money. They love your picks and they love you. So thank you very much. What are your first words as we get into it?
Happy to be here again. I'm looking forward to this week. As always, every week presents an opportunity. Hopefully, I can continue like I have done in the last two appearances on your show to give out winners. 16-2 is pretty good. I don't. Who knows if I can match that? But we're definitely going to try this week. Remember, this is a long game. I mean, this 18 weeks of the football season, not counting the playoffs. So we have a lot of football left. And you've been doing this a long time and been very successful at it. I've been doing it I've learned from a lot of things in the past, and I've become very successful at it, and I've gotten a lot better. And I think that between our information and what we share to the public, I think it's very, very valuable. I think it's the most valuable information that's out there, that's available. I'd like to see someone who's got better.
Right.
This is pretty good. So we do the best we can. Do with it what you will, and hopefully, if you do learn something, you apply it to the way you play sports or handicap, and you find success in it too. So that's the whole purpose of everything.
Right. And in this polarized society that we live in, Mr. Will and I do things a little bit differently. Some things we do the same, right? But it's not a cult. We can disagree. We can track things, and we can learn. We can learn because nothing lasts forever. This is unique to the United States of America that we can be this successful, making this much money betting on football games. All right. So last night, Thursday night, we both got that pick right. Denver, pretty much a race to the bottom. They're owned by Walmart. The Saints are owned by Lori Benson, very successful gold digger. And the Broncos are in their second year of their development. The Saints got a lot of injuries. So we got that one right. We picked Denver -3 on the money line, under 38. Next game, it's going to be in London. The Jaguars, the owner of the Jaguars is Mr. Khan. He is from London. Since the per capita income of the Jaguars is low, they want to eliminate a couple of home games. They're sitting there in London resting while the Patriots, which Bill Belichick, man, I made a lot of money in the last few years betting against Bill Belichick because he's a great defensive coordinator. However, his winning percentage without Vinny Testaverde, former Heisman winner that he had in Cleveland, and Tom Brady is 19%. Bill Belichick has only won 19% of his games without those two guys that started quarterback. So I love betting against Belichick. It was overvalued line, and he was a horrible general manager, and he was a horrible head of scouting, and he was a horrible vice president of the team. And it's funny because Kraft came out this week saying, wow, that was a mistake. I'm like, yeah, I noticed that as an NBA years ago, but I love you because I made a lot of money off your mistake. Finishing management errors. And that's what we do here. Business financial concepts. Some fundamental analysis, which I use, and I'll give you links on the both ways to invest. But fundamental analysis, you use management of the team. So the Patriots have a depleted roster. They have a put it on the defense, African-American coach, defensive guy, Gerard Mayo, traveling to Jacksonville. Jacksonville is desperate. Jacksonville is rested. Jacksonville has better players. So I'm going with Jacksonville minus the 5.5, under the 42, because I don't think the Patriots will be able to score on a rested Jacksonville defense. And also they're going to get run on. Jags are going to run, especially late in the second quarter and late in the third quarter going into the fourth quarter. And they're going to wear down that Patriot defense to cover the 5.5 for us, under 42. What do you think, Mr. Will?
Well, let's start the week off with the opposing point of view. This was a strange game to me. Jacksonville got beat up last week. I thought Doug Peterson might be fired after last week's performance. You know, they have another week in London, but if you've been to England and you've been to Florida, or if you've been here to Santa Monica, where they play all the football, the English football, the
Right.
Premier League. I don't see a lot of Jacksonville Jaguar shirts, so I'm not really sold on this. They have to win for Khan and for Doug Peterson. I don't think this team believes in Doug Peterson anymore. I liked what I saw of Drake May last week. He threw a lot of balls down the field. They moved the ball pretty well for New England, which would surprise me. That game they got beat, but they scored points. Jacksonville has shown the ability to score points. I got the line is 5.5 right now. I would buy a point up to 6.5. I would take New England, and I would definitely go the over in this game as well. I think Jacksonville will score. I think being on a short rest, the defense might not be fully prepared. It's like this: New England might get blown out early, and that might be the game. But I could still see Drake May, because he's a rookie quarterback, trying to get points later in the game. So I'm probably stronger on the over in this game than I am on the side of New England. But I do like New England, and I do like the over in this game, which is rare for a London game. But that's what I like.
You're like over 42, and you like the Patriots plus -5. Actually, yeah,
Yeah.
+5. Pass +5. Actually, you
Yeah.
talked me into the over 42, because even I talked myself into it too. Because if I'm thinking that the Patriots are going to wear down because of the flight, late in the second quarter and late in the third quarter going into the fourth, that lends to the over. That lends to the over. And I don't think they have a smart offensive coordinator that's going to run it to save the defense's legs. But I still like the Jaguars to cover for Mr. Khan there. All right. Next thing we're going to look at is the Seattle Seahawks going to Atlanta in a dome. Kirk Cousins. The Seahawks disappointed me. I thought that Mr. McDonald coming in from the Harbaugh football mafia family, they've built their whole career on being able to stop the run. And man, they did not do so at all last week against the 49ers, even though the 49ers are above average running team. And Shanahan is the type of coach that says, I don't care what defense you line up in, I have a running play for you. But against Atlanta in the dome, against Kirk Cousins, if you're going to put an extra guy in the box because you suck at running the ball, Kirk Cousins is going to get Drake London. He's going to get Darnell Mooney, and is going to go ahead and hit you with a pass play. You get it over 51, and I like Atlanta minus the 3 points. What do you think, Mr. Will?
I like Atlanta -2 as well. Seattle, they showed some signs of life against, early in the year in some early games when, people don't necessarily sharpen their pencils. Coordinators are getting used to film and rhythms that teams get themselves into. I think Seattle's kind of been figured out a little bit. Geno Smith has definitely been figured out. He's no longer a mystery. Atlanta can score, Atlanta can run, Atlanta can pass. They come off a lackluster win against Carolina, but I guess maybe we all kind of expected them to beat them, but maybe they pull out all their tricks. But I like Atlanta. I'm in agreement. The total, I'm gonna leave the total alone because I don't know what Geno Smith's gonna do. I don't trust Seattle's offense that much. I'll leave the total alone, but I will take Atlanta -2.
Yeah, in a dome. And I have a friend of mine who's strength and conditioning coach for a Power 5 team. And he always likes the over in domes. And in this situation with this team in a dome, I like the over 51. So we're different on that, and I'll make a note of it as well. All right. Billy likes the under 51.
Real quick though, one of Vegas' biggest cleanups of all time, remember, was in a dome, right? Was Rams Patriots Super Bowl. Everybody was picking the over. and we know the final score of that game. That was it wasn't even it was the lowest scoring Super Bowl I think we've ever had, other than maybe Super Bowl 1 or 2 in the snow. So it was sometimes dome games can be tricky. I just don't trust them, but I wish you well.
Yeah, in that particular situation, I love that one because I remember that. I loved the under in that one because I knew that, McVay running the air raid, you rush 3, drop 8, that lends to the under. That's what ended up happening. Belichick, as a defensive coordinator, out-coached. I call him Boy Wonder. Out-coached Boy Wonder in that one. Sean McVay. All right, I digress. The Bills and Josh Allen at home. They're making the Bills fans, the poor fans, pay for the stadium. It's a disgrace. The Pagula family, slumlords, have all those factories. All those migrants. Trump would hate them. The Pagulas. It's funny because all those Buffalo fans hate Miss Pagula, and she's evil, trying to make him pay for the stadium. And when she got sick, I remember a Bills fan texted me saying, "Hey, they poisoned her." That's what she got sick. But I digress. They're home, big home game for them because of those reasons. Again, they want to pay for the stadium, which they will. Against the Titans. +10. I like the Titans +10. It's just too many points. And McDermott, the analogy I use for McDermott, my dad's a preacher, and in the Bible, there's these people that are saying, in the name of Paul, I rebuke you. In the name of Jesus, I rebuke you. And the demons are like, we know who Paul is. We know who Jesus is. Who are you? Who are you? You got to be your own man. And McDermott tries too hard to be his mentor, Andy Reid. He's way too conservative for way too long with good players. So early in the season, in a non-division game, he's going to be conservative against the Tennessee Titans and get it over a key number of 10, over 41. The coach and the offensive coordinator getting heat because you have DeAndre Hopkins, you have Calvin Ridley. You're doing nothing with these people, right? So they're under heat to score some points. And you know what this man's going to do, right? What is he going to do? He's going to play zone, be conservative, wait for them to make a mistake. These are veteran receivers that'll help the rookie quarterback out. So give me the Titans plus the 10 over 41 for those reasons. What do you think, Mr. Well?
Wouldn't I love to agree with you? But this game falls into my principal rule of I'm going to leave this game alone.
Right.
If I was to take a side, I would find an excuse to take Tennessee. But my golden rule is I don't bet on teams who can't score. I can't trust Tennessee to score. So this could be a 21-3, 24-6 yawner, and I wouldn't be surprised. And I'm just going to leave the game alone. I just don't trust Tennessee to score. If I knew they could score, I would love the. There's too many points in the NFL to ever give. 90% of the time, you're probably right. I wish you well. I just Tennessee has not proven an ability to score. And it's the golden rule. If a team can't score, I don't bet them. So I'm leaving this one alone.
Right. So another few videos on basic football. We're not coaches, so we're not going to get into too far in the weeds. I'm going to show basic stuff that people know about football to bet. And in this situation, all right, when you know what team is going to, because that's what Buffalo is going to be. They're going to sit and zone, especially in a non-division game. They're going to sit in zone. So in zone, you go across, you play man-to-man, you go vertical. So that's going to make the rookie quarterback comfortable and get it over the 41 points. And they'll score a little bit more than usual. They'll still lose, but they'll score more to get it over 41 and cover the 10-point. The Cleveland Clowns. I almost feel like I'm going to vomit every time I look at a Cleveland Clown game because Deshaun Watson coming from Christian Dabo Sweeney. Oh, they always let you down, right? The holy rollers. The ones who are blaming God all the time. He's such a disgusting degenerate. Poor girls just want to make a living, right? Massage therapist, and here he is, right? Sitting there naked, making them feel uncomfortable, right? Doing a power thing as an NFL player. But I digress. This is football. Got to take your emotion out of it. They're playing the Bengals. The Bengals are a cheap family-owned team, so they're never going to have depth, and they always have to do smoke and mirrors to survive. And sometimes they do well. They made it deep in the playoffs and almost made it to a Super Bowl. Now it's coming, chickens are coming home to roost. Division game in Cleveland. The Clowns have just as much talent as they do. So regardless, this game is going to be close. You're getting points. I like the Clowns +6 over 41. What do you think, Mr. Will?
This Deshaun Watson's just driving me crazy. I don't know why they're still playing him other than that they're paying him so much, so they must have to. I can't believe the coach wants to start him.
Right.
It defies all believability that they were a playoff team, maybe one of the best teams in the NFL last year, and with Joe Flacco, and they are on the verge of going to being 1-5 or 1-6. Hard to imagine them being that bad. Divisional game, hated rivals, Cincinnati. Interstate game, Cincinnati, Cleveland. You have no choice but to take Cleveland. I'm going to sit this game out because I can't trust Deshaun Watson. So I'm going to pass on the game. I'm with you if I was to go with it, but I just can't. I can't trust Deshaun Watson until I see him on the bench. I can't bet on Cleveland or bet against them. It's a pass for me. This game's a pass for me.
All right. So I bet all of them. I've been put $1,000 on each side, and I'm going with the Cleveland Clowns plus the 6 over 41, and I'm at about $10,000 profit this year by the grace of God. The Packers made me a lot of money this year. They're doing well. They can run the ball, and this year it seems to run the ball. Have been covering easily against the Texans. Again, another team that's supposed to be able to stop the run. They have not. Quarterback matchup is kind of even. 48 points is too much with the style of play both teams want to play. Bobby Slovic and the LaFleurs, Matt LaFleur, Mike LaFleur, all the M's in LaFleur, Shanahan, McVay, they all take trips together to Europe with their wives. Then they go out on a boat in Newport Beach for Renaissance weekends. They were in the same offense. They're part of the same mafia. They hire the same people. They do all the things the same. So that leads to the under, since both defenses seeing the same offenses in training camp and in practice. And I like the Packers. The Packers are just a more hot team. It's not in the division. The Texans have a very easy division. So they're going to focus on having the best schemes, best plays for division games and home games. This is on the road against a buddy from the similar mafia. And I could be wrong. I mean, I could be completely off on it. But I've been betting on it, and the money is green and real. So I'm going to stick with it until I get right. And it's a baseball player told me this once. Hall of Fame baseball player. I was drinking with him. And I was like, man, why didn't you make that one play that one time? Oh, no, that was my buddy. He hit it to me. So I had to let it go because that's my buddy, right? They call it kicking a leg in baseball. So guys are from the same mafia playing against each other, home team. I like the Packers, -2.5, under 48. What do you think, Mr. Will?
I'm going to make a different type of play in this game, and I'm actually with you on the game, but on the under part, but I'm going to only limit it to the first half. I'm going to do a first half under in this game. I'm not going to choose a side. 23.5. I'm going to take the first half under. I like this quite a bit, actually. Texans coming off a fairly easy victory last week against New England. Green Bay coming off a fairly easy victory against Arizona. I think that you're right. They know each other. I think we're going to have a feeling out process. I look for both teams to establish a run game, run some clock, kind of just feel each other out for the first half. I like the under a lot in the first half at 23.5. Give me the under. I'm not going to take a side. I'm not going to take a total for the game, but for just first half only, I like the under a lot, 23.5 in the Green Bay Houston game.
Green Bay Houston game. And it's interesting. Let's get first half line because some teams like to feel each other out and then see what they're playing and then sit the team down at halftime and make adjustments. Now, in speaking to several NFL players throughout a 25 to 30-year career, one big myth is the whole halftime adjustment. There is no such thing as halftime adjustment. Coaches make adjustments after every single possession. They say, what do you see? What do you see? However, when you sit a guy down at halftime, give him a drink of water, he relaxes, he processes the information better that way. So that's why it seems like they're making adjustments at halftime. It isn't. It's just that the guys are processing the information better. All right. So Billy's going with a first half line under, right? I'm checking on this first half line under. Miami coming off a bye, going to the Colts, two cheap family-owned team. The Colts always have depth issues. That's why the backup quarterback has a broken back. Old ass Joe Flacco. All right. They have Richardson. They set him up for failure, and he's been hurt. I like McDaniels as a coach. He's a Harvard graduate, comes from that Shanahan mafia. They've had time. They have rest, and rest has made me a lot of money. So I'm going to go with Miami Dolphins, having that edge with the rest and the fact that the Colts are cheap and do not have depth. So that's going to hurt them. But Miami, having a good defense, and a backup quarterback in there, suspect offensive line. So when you have a suspect offensive line, it's easier to run back than to pass block. So give me the Miami Dolphins plus the 3 under 44. What do you think, Mr. Will?
Do we know as of this podcast, do we know if who the starting quarterback of the Colts is in this game? Do you know if it's Flacco or Richardson?
Let me Google that, see what's going on.
I know there's been talk all week about Flacco's condition, then maybe bring Richardson back. I think this is maybe the key to the decision of which way to go in this game, even total wise and sidewise. The Colts are clearly a different team with Joe Flacco as quarterback than Cleveland was. It just goes to show if you get out a quarterback who cannot play and get in a halfway decent, competent quarterback, you could have success in the NFL. You don't need to have Patrick Mahomes, you know, Lamar Jackson. You don't need to have these types of players. Aaron Rodgers. If you have a competent quarterback who can just complete passes and not turn the ball over, with all the rules protecting the quarterback, you can have success in the NFL. I'll leave this game for time purposes. Open to if Flacco plays, I would lay. I have the line at 2. Is that the same line that you have?
Yeah, I have 2.5, but I shop around. So let me
Yeah,
look right now.
I would definitely buy this game down to 1.5. I would take the Colts. I won't touch the number. I don't know who's playing, and even if I did know for sure Flacco was playing, I still wouldn't touch the number because we might see a lot of running in this game. I know that the Dolphins want to definitely run the ball, and their defense is pretty damn good. So this is probably going to be a nail biter. I agree with you. I think you can make a valid case for both sides. This is a conditional pick. If Flacco is quarterbacking, I will take the Colts buy down to 1.5. If he's not, it's a no play for me. I won't play the Dolphins, but I just won't play the game, and I'll leave the total alone.
All right, very good. Next game we're going to look at are the Vikings. I've picked the Vikings every week so far. We're in week 7, so I'm 6-0 Vikings games against the Lions. The Lions played a physical, emotional game against Dallas last week. Now, in football, I'll put the link there to the top 10 rules of betting. The top number 1 rule that I have is never bet your own team. And the reason you never bet your own team is because your own team is like your kid. You overestimate how well they can do, and vice versa. You get too depressed when things are going south. So, Max Brown, good guy, had him on the podcast, always returns my phone calls, always returns my texts, my messages. He's best friends with Sam Darnold. And he told me Sam Darnold's going to be one of the better quarterbacks in the NFL. Watch. And I'm like, what? You're just his friend. He's come out this year and he's been lights out. He's a great athlete, Heisman Trophy winner. And I liked him in a division game. Remember, division games counts for 2. Kevin O'Connell from San Diego, another bias I have. It's Kevin O'Connell, really smart kid. He's in a cheap family-owned franchise with a corrupt owner, and he's making it happen. And Flores is doing a great job as well with that Vikings defense. So what happened? Kevin O'Connell and Flores studied this game all summer long. The game plan they came up with doesn't come up this week. They came up with this game plan during the summer, and then during training camp, they look at their best schemes, best plays, and they save those plays for this game, division game at home in the Metrodome. Give me the Vikings minus the 2 under 51 because both teams actually I'm going to wait till game time just to see if it goes to that key number because everybody and their mother is going to be betting this game over. If I can get it under 53, it'll be beautiful. I'll post it on Twitter, and I'm sure I tag Mr. Will so his people know what my final verdict is on this game. But I think this is what, as a guy who is known as a stock picker, now I manage whatever, $150 million A friend of mine manages 2 billion, 10 times as much, but he pays me to pick stocks. So somebody who looks at movement of markets, I think this game at game time, about 15 minutes before game time, is going to be around 53. And I'm going to pick it under that number because they study each other so much. They're going to have a trick or two to get a stop, to get it under 53. But right now it's 51. That's my analysis on that. But I like the Vikings a lot in this game after the emotional, physical game Detroit played last week. What do you think, Mr. Will?
This is a very, very difficult game to handicap for a lot of reasons. The Lions lost their best defensive player, hence the reason why you probably think it's going to go to 53 by game time. Both teams have the ability to score the ball at will. It seems like they both have dynamic offenses. Sam Darnold's playing great. Jared Goff's playing great. The one game the Lions lost, they didn't score a lot of points, but they had so many opportunities in the red zone that game and just didn't convert against Tampa Bay. Give Todd Bowles a lot of credit for that game, by the way. That's a game. That's a game that you correctly picked, actually. You were right. You were down on the money in that game. I will, I think the Lions are the best team in the NFL. Coming off a very easy win against Dallas, they dominated the game. This number is going to keep going upwards. I don't know. I just don't know. I'm going to pass on this game. I don't have a feeling for this game. It's to me a leave alone game. I'm going to sit and watch and enjoy this game. I'll leave this one alone.
Right. And for listeners to the podcast, for the last 5 years, I've been myself and Agent Rob, top agent in FIFA, top of MLS. We've been close to around 68% in Detroit Lion games. So yes, the Detroit Lions has become in my wheelhouse. All right, and you got the Vikings -2 under 53 if he gets there. All right, the Eagles against the Giants. Home dogs up to this point have been 0-9. So I'm looking to go the other way. You got Brian Daboll +1 coach. He started out 6-1. He's since been 11-21 because he has that rigid system that they use in Alabama to win a national title. Same system to help Josh Allen. +1 means a quarterback run, right? So when the quarterback runs, he has more blockers than tacklers. He likes to run the ball to wear teams down on defense and then hit their guy. Again, this is a division game. They play twice each year. They study each other extra. I call him Joe Satriani, like the guitar player, but that's not his name. Everybody thinks it's a clown since everybody saw him crying in the Super Bowl. He's lost the respect of everyone, the fans, the players, Howie Roseman, the owner, Mr. Lerner. He lost $10 million in the casino in Atlantic City, drunk. Famous story.
That they accounted for. They don't have much stash. He had people run for him, go get more money too. So
yeah.
We don't see the silent markers either. So
right,
the silent signs for more money.
Yeah, that's just the tip of the iceberg.
That's the tip of the iceberg. It's probably a tenth of it, like with Jordan lost, same type of thing. So
yeah, exactly. So cheap franchise, so he has to keep the defense fresh because they have no backups. But I still like it to go over the 42 points. They've been saving schemes and plays for each other. I like the Giants +3 over 42. What do you think, Mr. Will?
I'm in complete agreement. Complete agreement.
Nice.
I like the over here, and I like the Giants as well. I think they keep it close. I think it does go over. I've seen signs of life in the Giants' offense the last few weeks. We know Philadelphia can score. We know Sirianni's fighting for his life. I see a hard-fought NFC East game. That's it. And I probably going to come down to a field goal at the end of the game. And, look, the thing is, in the NFL right now, you got guys who are continually kicking field goals at 50 yards like they're extra points.
Right.
So, with the new kickoff rule, you only got to gain about 25, 30 yards before you're in field goal range. So you're going to get a lot of 3-point possessions. Uh, you hope the team can get 7 if you're betting the over, but 3 here, 3 there adds up after a while, and then you have 2 very good kickers. So I'm going to take the over, and I'm going to take the Giants to keep it close, and keep our fingers crossed, and just hope it's another classic NFC game. That's it. I'd be tempted to buy a point to 4. I'd be tempted to do it, uh, like a 7-3, 27-23 type of thing. So I would probably buy a point, betting the game, uh, playing the game, handicapping the game, to be on the safe side. I like being on the safe sides of numbers. 4 is a very safe number because
Yes.
you can always backdoor.
Right. I'll be with you in a second, mother-in-law.
It happens. You can always backdoor cover. So I would buy the 4, but give me the Giants and give me over 43. I'm with you.
All right. Giants over 43. Next game. Big game in LA. The Rams against the Raiders. And Gerard Mayo and Antonio Pierce have the same problem. They're in a situation where the Crafts took out too many loans on the team. Now they're broke. Then they want to go the cheapest way possible. Now the Raiders don't have any cash because 2 longtime Al Davis friends in the front office stole up to $50 million. And again, that's probably the tip of the iceberg of what money they stole because they have no cash, even though they're in a brand new stadium. They're bringing them owners. They got Brady so they can get 10% cash from Brady and his people because they have cash, no cash flow. And I remember Antonio Pierce getting in a fight with Lovie Smith as an assistant coach in Illinois. Next thing you know, he's at Arizona State getting in a fight with Herm Rambert. Why is he getting in a fight with his employer where he goes, right? The CTE, whatever. So next thing you know, he's getting in a fight with McDaniels with the Raiders. What do? They make him the head coach. Now he's getting in the fight with the players, trying to rule by fear. Complete disaster. He doesn't know who to start. He's starting Aiden O'Connell, who has a broken back. He's playing hurt. The offensive line sucks because he got rid of Leatherwood, the best offensive lineman. They gave him to Chicago for no apparent reason. They have no players. It's going to be a fire sale. They're trying to get Crosby for picks. And then you go against the Rams, McVay, very organized, won a Super Bowl, been to another. His talent isn't where he wants it, but coming off a bye, being smart. And I know that Hayden Morris at Atlanta wants to borrow McVay's culture because he has a culture of joy, like the Kamala Harris campaign. Joy. He got a veteran quarterback. He's going to get him in the right play. They're giving the Rams -6. I'm like, you get the best of the number. Buy off the half point. Give me the Rams -6 over 43 because McVay's had a hard time with that offense. And we see that Raider defense is depleted with lack of depth. He's going to keep scoring for fun and get this over 43. So give me the Rams -6 over 43. What do you think, Mr. Well?
I'm with you. Give me the Rams in this game. The Raiders. This is going to be like a home game for the Raiders, and you could say it's going to be like a home game for the Raiders because it probably will be a home game for the Raiders. But we saw what the Raiders did at home this last 2 weeks.
Right.
Absolutely bombarded. This is not a good team. I don't know if they're on Antonio Pierce's page or not. I know they liked him at first. I don't know what when you start off with in a slump like they are, love goes away quickly when you're not producing, as you well know. No money, no honey. The old saying goes. Give me the Rams in this game, -6, and I'm gonna leave the total alone because I don't trust the Raiders for anything. So that's it. Give me the Rams -6.
Rams -6. One thing, people can look it up. He used to come to my restaurant, great mentor, independently wealthy guy in his mid-40s, investing. His name was Bernard Wolfman. And he's like, Josh, best investment advice I can give you is you see with your eyes. And those Raider fans, I know some Raider fans that went to that game against Carolina, and they said they were so pissed because they thought they were going to win that game. And here comes Andy Dalton, and they beat him. So if they can't beat Carolina, who can they beat, right?
Yeah.
So that's one of those things. you got to go with the Rams -6. Next game is the Panthers at the Washington. I call them the Lord Commanders from Game of Thrones. It's one of the shows my wife was watching, and I'm like, "Why are you watching that? There's no reality in it, right?" And then I started watching it. I'm like, "Whoa, this is pretty good." Game of Thrones. The other one is Handmaid's Tale. I'm like, Handmaid's Tale can't happen. That would never happen in the United States. And then I read Project 2025, but I digress.
There you
And
go.
this still can happen here. All right. So the Panthers with Andy Dalton going to Washington. Washington's one of those fake teams. Fake teams was Zach Wilson with the Jets 2 years ago. Remember when the Jets were 7-3? Everybody was going crazy. I'm like, no, this is a fake team, right? Eventually the chickens have come home to roost, smoke and mirrors, the gimmicks they've been trying. So Kingsbury always starts fast when he was at Texas Tech. He was in Arizona, and then fizzles late with that +1 spread offense. Teams like Baltimore did will rush to 3, drop 8, like Belichick did to McVay in the Super Bowl. That shuts down the air raid, right? Especially if you don't have a fullback who can put his hand in the ground and get the rushing game going. So I see that with Washington +8. I think Vegas is with us, saying that they're going to cover, because that's why they put it over the key number 8 to
Josh,
protect themselves.
I got the game at the game right now on the current line that I'm looking at is Washington's up to 9.5.
Woo, 9.5. That's where
So
I bet it at 8. So I bet it at 8. I'm gonna bet it again, maybe at 10. I'll buy the half point, get it to the key number of 10, or key numbers are 3, 7, 10,
this
17, right? 14, 17, 21, 24. So
this screams classic trap game.
right,
In every way possible. Like 9.5, they're begging you to bang on Washington.
right,
Washington came close to Baltimore last week. Everybody's going to think that they're a great team. They're just one drive away from winning
right.
another game. With a great team. This game has let down written all over it. Carolina has something to play for. They have pride and they're playing hard with Dalton. There's nothing wrong with that. This is going to be a closer game than people think. I love Carolina +9.5 in this game. I will absolutely buy up to 10 or 10.5 even if it closes. But I love Washington +9.5 here. Right now, I have it at 9.5, and I give me. I'm sorry, give me not Washington. I love Carolina. I
Correct.
love Carolina +9.5 here against Washington.
All right. Uh, Carolina plus the 9.5. And I like it over 51. Mr. Will wrote a book about it has gambling addiction in it. Canellis, the head coach of Carolina Panthers, wrote a book about sexual addiction. My wife's a psychotherapist will say, okay, yeah, that dopamine center's in the same side of the brain.
There's a lot of sexual addiction in the Yellow Pinto as well. lot of it. There's a lot of sex and gambling and drug abuse. So that you got your share of all of it there.
Yeah, sure. All right.
Yeah.
Kansas City Chiefs +2. I like it over 47. I do the Circa picks for 14-14 in Circa. Jim Coventry, national champion, fantasy football guy. He gives me a pick each week. He's 2 in a row. He likes Kansas City +2 over 47 because the 49ers cannot stop the run. And since the Super Bowl went under and is very conservatively played, these coaches are obsessive guys. Andy Reid's won 2 Super Bowls, been to 4. Shanahan, his dad won 4. He's gone to 2. He's been mentored by Andy Reid and John Gruden from that same mafia where they draft the same type of players. They probably have to kick up. They get the same coaches, assistant coaches that probably have to kick up. They know each other. I like Kansas City because of that depleted 49er defensive line. Kansas City will cover the 2 points. And you got to look at that money line. I might make this the money line pick of the week, maybe. Kansas City +2. I like it over 47 because these are very obsessive personalities that obsess how to score on each other after the Super Bowl. What do you think, Mr. Will?
Much to my chagrin, as much as I want to play this game, I'm going to sit this one out. It's gonna be a great game to watch. This podcast, you want to pick every game. Some people like to pick every game. So sometimes and really, you're supposed to bet multiple games because no one's going to be right on one game 100% of the time. You got to bet multiple games to make money in this business. I pick 6 or 7 games a week, sometimes more, sometimes a little bit less. This is a game that everybody's be betting because it's the premier primetime game. It's going to be a nail biter. Total's going to be a nail biter. It just, to me, I don't see an advantage of betting either team. I don't love Brock Purdy. I don't think he's terrible. I don't think he's great. I just think that he gets, he moves along, an offense with probably 3 or 4 Hall of Famers on it. and Shanahan and Reed have been, they've seen each other's tricks and everything before. I mean, it's a road game for Kansas City, but this is going to be a great game. Kansas City's been a little bit fortunate to win a few games this year. They could easily have 2 losses. This could be one of them, but I'm not going to bet against Mahomes in a big time game. I'm just going to sit and watch this game, have a beer and enjoy it.
Oh yeah, and it's funny. I was taking the Series 7 test, and I was reading about arbitrage, where you buy 10 stocks or more to take advantage of market inefficiencies. Half of this is knowing football. The other half is knowing numbers and see when the market's going. Like that one game that I think once it goes to 53, I'll go under. I'm taking advantage of a market inefficiency. So I bet 10 or more games. I'll bet the whole card because I've been betting this for 30 years. But different philosophies work. And sometimes one Sunday I might just go full hard on Mr. Will's philosophy, right? You get choices, and every week is different. The Jets -2 at the Steelers. Steelers have been covering a lot for me this year. I know the coaches think in 2-year cycles. 1 year is kind of a rebuilding year. Next year they go for it. And this is the year the Steelers are going for it at 4-2. I think, Tomlin's to put it on a defense type guy. Military mentality, graduated from the Citadel. So he has that military, let others make mistakes. Let's grind it out. Russia against Ukraine, World War I, World War II style in the trench against Aaron Rodgers. And I think this line is hyped up because of the whole Devontae Adams stuff. And against Pittsburgh, it's not going to work because Pittsburgh is going to play a deep zone. The Tampa 2 coverage is not a defense with 2 high safeties. Play in a shell, keep everything in front of you with an old quarterback. I don't know how many hits he can take from the Steelers. The Jets, middling, stopping the run. You're going to get a heavy dose of the run. I like the fact that Russ will probably start because Russ can run just as good as Justin Fields, even at his advanced age, but he can read defenses better, get them in the right play. All right. So give me the Steelers plus the 2, the terrible towels in Pittsburgh under the 39. What do you think, Mr. Well?
What a great game this probably will be. I thought Rodgers played an incredibly good game last week. He took a lot of heat. I don't know why he took so much heat. He didn't miss field goals. He didn't run bad pass patterns. Devontae Adams is probably going to be overhyped and overbet because of it. That's probably why you see this this game leaning toward the Jets. It might take him a game or two to get back into the groove. It might not. But the Jets, the receivers that they have certainly can't play as bad as they played last week. I'm inclined to take the over in this game. I'm not going to side the game. I'm inclined to take the over. As of right now, I don't know if you have. I have 38.5. I don't know if it's 38.5 or 39. But I'm inclined to take the over here. Give me the Jets. I'm sorry, give me the over in the Jets and the Steelers game at 38 and a half, or 39, whatever the number is that closes at.
Right. Uh, I'm in a lot of money betting these Steelers unders. And the one side that I have that has, all the offshore, all the Vegas, all the casinos around the country. Uh, I'm not seeing a 39. I see a 38 and a half. So this leans towards what Billy's saying on the over. And the reason the Steelers games go under more often than not is because of the philosophy of Mr. Tomlin. Tomlin could have a fourth and inches at the other team's 39-yard line and he punts.
Yeah,
Right? And then he plays that Tampa 2 deep zone with the safeties keep everything in a shell. So he's been 1, 2, 3, 4, 4-2 to the under. Let me see the Jets just for the heck of it. The Jets have been, at this point, they've been 1, 2, 3, 4, push, and 1. So both teams have been 8-2 to the under. But sometimes you got to look at a trend like that and say, you know what? I'm going to go the other way. And Mr. Will's going to go the other way. It's going to say over 38 and a half. And it keeps going down, right? You might bet it at 37 come game time.
absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's something you look at. So the strategy that we provide on the podcast, Tampa Bay at home, natural disaster after natural disaster. That means you're going to get the calls from the refs against the Ravens, +1 quarterback. And Lamar Jackson has not proven that he can read consistently zero coverage. All right, zero coverage. And I'll do a video explaining what zero coverage is against running quarterbacks, -3.5. Baker Mayfield has been hot. I like it over the 49. I've been 80% historically on second half on the Florida team covering second half lines in the heat. So I'm going to look at the weather and I'll post on Twitter my pick for the second half line if it makes sense. The Florida second half line in the heat and humidity. But I like Tampa Bay plus the 4 over 49. What do you think, Mr. Will?
I love that angle of, the second half, if the line makes sense in the heat in Florida. I love that angle that you've introduced to everybody. It's a very valid angle, by the way. I've looked it up. It is a high percentage angle to look at. I'm going to take the under in this game. I'm not going to bet. I'm going to make. I made a pact with myself.
Right.
Like when Katrina hit New Orleans. I'm not going to bet against Tampa Bay, and if I don't like them, I'm not going to bet. But I'm not going to bet against them. These teams that come out of hurricanes or natural disasters tend to ride a lot of emotions. They carry the city on their back.
Right.
They have the stars and the gods on their side. I mean, the Saints won the Super Bowl during Katrina.
Right.
The way Tampa Bay opened the game up against New Orleans and finished the game against New Orleans. In hindsight, doesn't look so impressive because what happened, with Denver Thursday night. But that being said, they did score 51 points. But I look for the Ravens to maybe finally get their defense together here. They showed a lot of resolve against Washington in the second half. I think this is going to go under the number. I don't like the side here. I'm not going to bet it, against this hurricane stuff. So I'm just going to. I see a conservative game. There could be weather, there could be wind, there could be rain. We don't know. It's Florida. I'm just gonna take the under here. I think it's too many points in a game on the road for Lamar Jackson. I agree with you. With his reads of defenses, I think Harbaugh goes to a very conservative game plan. Give me under the 49.5 in the Ravens and Buccaneers game.
Under. And I think you're right about that, except I always think The phrase fatigue makes us cowards of us all. And that with the helmets on, uh, with the pads on, and I'm just looking at the weather. Let's see if you can see that. That's going to be the weather in Tampa Bay. And it's funny because my dad, he's 90 years old. He always says everything's okay. And I'm like, Dad, is everything okay? He's like, yeah, everything's okay, except we don't have electricity or running around. I'm like, what? Let me get you to someplace. No, I'm fine. I feel like I'm in Cuba. I'm like, oh my God, what can I do with this? What can I do with this? So I think you're right, but it's just go over just because of the fatigue factor in the late in the fourth quarter. And really, do you really want to tackle Derrick Henry, tired, with pads on, with the helmet, 88 degrees,
They're
100% humidity?
going to eat clock. You might get your wish here. Actually, you because of the game plan, I think that's going to happen. You might get a low scoring first half. I was tempted to go under in the first half as well, but I was going to take the game under instead of.
Right.
But you might get a low scoring first half where your second half overplay could come into effect, and instead of a total of having to go over 49 and a half, if you only got 13 points in the first half and the second half line's 26. Now you're looking at a huge differential. I mean, it's a great way to play a football. If you have a
Yes.
firm belief on a game and you think the game's going to go over and the first half is way under, and you have your theory of second half Florida games, geez, what else can you root for than a low scoring first half where you can maybe double dip and win both ways?
Exactly.
So I'm going to go, but I'm taking the under for the game.
Under
So
for the game. Okay.
the
Let me
game.
make sure I note it on the spreadsheet here.
Yeah, 49 and a half under for the game. Yeah.
All right, very good. All right. Last two games on Monday night. You got from the Harbaugh football mafia family, Jim Harbaugh. All he does is eat steak and milk every day. Shocker, he has a heart problem. Going against Arizona. Arizona's in the desperate situation. Looking up here, they're 2-4. Kyler Murray, again, another +1 quarterback. Marvin Harrison Jr., always hurt in college. He's sucking right now in the NFL. The Chargers. Jim Harbaugh is on, this philosophy. They get together, they have the home philosophy. It's a Renaissance weekend. When he was in Michigan, they ran the ball just as much as service academies. So he has that philosophy, even though he has probably what ends up being a Hall of Fame quarterback in Herbert. But when Herbert does throw the ball, he gets him in the right play, and he's getting man-to-man coverage because they're running it so much, right? So I'm looking at the Chargers totals this year because I'm curious. Seems like I've gotten all of them right going under. And I'm right. They're 5-0 to the under on the original line. So that's one of those things that I'm going to stick with it until I'm wrong. So I'm going to go under in this game. But I do like the Cardinals plus the 2 points. It's, again, rigid mentality. It's a road game, opposite conference. So in this game, Harbaugh is going to play vanilla. He's not going to have any special schemes. Not going to have any new plays for the Cardinals because it's on the road, outside the division. The division counts for 2. Conference games are more important. The Cardinals need this game more. So plus the 2 points. Home dogs have been 0-9 up to this point. So, like, you look at trends, I like going the other way on trends. So home dogs on Monday night cover 70% of the time. So give me the Cardinals plus the 2 points. Under 44. What do you think, Mr. Will?
I love the Cardinals in this game for many reasons. Last week, the Charger game, by the way, I don't know if you remember, there was a late field goal that they kicked. The game was actually an over. The game went over last week. I know that because one of my best plays last week was the over. I thought the line was
so it's 4-1 to the under. All right.
Yeah, 4-1. But that being said, I love the Cardinals. I'm gonna because I love a team so much. I always buy a point just in case I'm wrong. I
Right,
will buy a point, but I'm really look at the Broncos had a lot of wide open receivers last week.
right.
Knicks missed a couple. They dropped a couple. Um, I'll tell you what, Kyler Murray's going to make them pay. The Cardinals will score some points. The Chargers will be forced to score. This is they're coming off going at Mile High Stadium, now going into hot Phoenix. They're going to be going crazy there Monday night. There's nothing to do in Phoenix. We'll get ready for a football game and start the tailgate about noon out there in Glendale. Look at they're waiting on this game. I like the Cardinals a lot. Give me the Cardinals +2 against the Chargers. I'll leave a total alone, but give me the chart. I mean, give me the Arizona Cardinals +2.
To my point, look at the statistics between Justin Herbert, who's a far superior dropback quarterback, and Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray has over 40 more attempts than Justin Herbert does. That's what keeps those Charger games under. All right, so we both love it. We're both going to buy the point to get it to the key number of 3. Arizona +3 under 44. In the last game, oh, that's it. That's it. That's all the games.
Yeah,
That's
that's two
all the
games.
game.
Yeah.
All right. So very exciting week. And it's funny, some weeks you have more time, you have more feel for something. I feel very, very exciting about this week. Started off 2-0, a lot of money to be made. What do you think, Mr. Will? What are your last words?
Let's keep it. We both had Denver good last night. Let's hope the rest of the week proves out to be just as easy as last week. We just want to have we want to be on the plus side of the week.
Right.
That's all there is to it. So we're rooting for a winning week. We like some games quite a bit. Hopefully, we offer everybody on a unified opinion, even a stronger opinion than maybe either one of us can offer if we're both unified on it. We have a couple of games that we totally agree on. So let's see what happens. Wish everybody luck and have a great rest of the week. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. And this is not a cult. We disagree, but we give the reasons why we disagree. And we both have an underlying philosophy, a foundation. So if you're wrong, you admit that you're wrong. You feel the shame, you feel the humiliation, you feel the torture of being wrong. You feel that pain. So, like the Greeks say, that pain brings you knowledge and you learn. That's one way of learning. Maybe the only way of learning. That's one way of learning that I use.
Another way to learn is read the Yellow Pinto. If you want to learn about some gambling pain and some tough beats, they certainly are abundant in the Yellow Pinto. Hopefully you enjoy the book. It's available everywhere: Barnes and Noble, Amazon, independent bookstores. Go online.
And you get on Amazon. All you have to do is click on the episode notes, and boom, it'll go straight to Amazon, Barnes and Nobles, where you can buy the book, right? And another philosophy we have is when you, like I said at the beginning of the podcast, when you give one, you get 10 back. You could be like the leaders of Hamas, not the one who got killed, the ones who live in Qatar, who have $3 billion, 50 wives, 14 girlfriends, and they live long, happy lives, and they're just the worst people. Or you could be a nice person and be just as wealthy, just as successful, and just as happy, right? We take the different approach. You give one, you get 10 back. And like Winston Churchill said during the Second World War, during fireside chats, you make a living from your labor, but you make a life from what you give. Thank you for listening to the ESBC podcast.